This is what Giannis looked like in Milwaukee a year ago. Constant pressure, no room, no real margin for error. Now look at him in Miami. Now he has Bam behind him, Spo coaching him, and a defense that might be disgusting. So the question is not whether Giannis is still elite. Man, that part is easy. The real question is what happens when the most unstoppable downhill player alive lands with the most psychotic conditioning staff in basketball. Because this version of Giannis might actually be scarier than the old one. Look, people keep talking about the spacing. People keep talking about the depth. People keep talking like Miami just made some flashy moves. But man, this is not just a name brand trade. This is Pat Riley looking at 4 straight years of play-in nonsense and saying, yeah, enough of that. Miami won 43 games last season and still felt fake dangerous. They were tough, annoying, organized, and still missing that one dude. That one dude is now Giannis Antetokounmpo, a guy who still put up 27.6 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 5.4 assists last season. A guy who shot 62.4% from the field. A guy who still bends an entire defense by taking 2 dribbles. And if you like NBA videos, subscribe, because this video is just getting started. Part 1. This is not the same Giannis. This is the first thing people are missing. They are treating Giannis like he is the exact same player. He is not. He is still a wrecking ball, obviously. Still the best transition monster in basketball. Still one of those players where you know the move and still cannot stop it. But now he plays a little smarter, a little slower when he has to, a little more patient around the elbows, a little more controlled when the paint gets crowded. That matters, because old Giannis could overwhelm you with force alone. This Giannis can pick you apart with force and timing, and that is worse. Milwaukee needed him to be everything, every possession, every night. Score, rebound, create, erase mistakes, save broken possessions, save broken lineups, save broken seasons. That is exhausting, man. That is how stars start looking human. Miami is different. Miami does not need Giannis to be the entire machine. They need him to be the nuclear part of it. Part 2. Spo is about to make his life easier. This might be the biggest thing here. Erik Spoelstra is going to make Giannis work less for better offense. That sounds backwards, but look, some stars get numbers, some stars get structure. Giannis has had numbers for years. Now he gets structure. Spo is not going to ask him to freelance all night. He is going to weaponize him. Early seals, empty side actions, grab and go and transition, quick slip screens, weak side cuts when the defense loads up. The whole thing is going to feel more deliberate. And that matters, because Giannis already lives in the paint. He scored more efficiently there than basically anybody. Last season, nearly 79% of his shots came in the paint. That is absurd. That is not a scorer. That is a weather event. Now put that inside a Spo system. Man, you are basically giving a flamethrower to a guy who already burns your house down.
But look, the real twist is Bam. Because Bam is the reason this thing could look different from every other Giannis setup. Most Giannis teams try to stretch the floor around him. 5-out stuff, shooters everywhere, make help defenders pay. That still matters in Miami, sure, but Bam gives him something Milwaukee rarely had next to him, a big who can actually think the game with him. Bam is not just another big body. He can dribble, he can pass, he can screen, he can short roll, he can hit that little jumper, and defensively, man, he is basically a problem generator. So now Giannis does not have to guard the whole world alone. Now he can roam more. Now he can cheat passing lanes more. Now he can rotate as the second monster instead of the first responder every time. That is where this gets nasty, because I think Giannis on the Heat scores a little easier, but I think defensively he looks terrifying again. Not good, terrifying. Part 4. The defense is why I buy this. If this team stays healthy, they should be one of the best defenses alive. I don't even think that's hot take territory. Davion Mitchell at the point of attack, Wiggins on the wing, Bam at the back line, Giannis cleaning up everything in between. That is miserable to deal with. That's one of those teams where every drive feels like a bad decision. And Giannis, at his best, is still a cheat code defender. Help side rim protection, recovery blocks, transition erasers, those plays that make the other team feel stupid for even trying. Opponents have shot just 52.2% at the rim when he contests there. That's elite company. So even if the jumper still comes and goes, his defensive impact never really leaves. That's the beauty of Giannis. If the shot diet gets ugly, he still controls the game anyway. That's why I think Miami unlocks a meaner version of him. Not because he suddenly becomes a shooter. That's not happening, man. Relax. But because the defense is so good, he doesn't have to force everything offensively. He can kill you in waves instead of desperation. All right, now let's get to the real part. How does Giannis actually perform on this team? I think the raw scoring dips a little, not because he gets worse, because he shouldn't have to do as much. And honestly, that's a win. I could see something like 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Maybe 29 if Miami really leans into pace. Maybe fewer minutes, but better minutes. Fewer bailout possessions, more clean touches, more catches on the move, more games where he gets 16 points by halftime and ruins everybody's evening. I also think his efficiency stays ridiculous, maybe even gets better in stretches, because Spo is not going to waste his energy. He's going to pick the spots that hurt most. And the assists matter too, because Giannis creates panic. That's half of playmaking anyway. Once he gets downhill, somebody's helping. Once somebody helps, somebody's open. That part never changes. So no, I don't think he suddenly averages 33. I think he becomes more controlled, more efficient, and way more dangerous late in games. That's the trade-off you want.
Part 6, the part nobody wants to admit. I mean, here is the part Heat fans may not love. The fit is not perfect. The shooting is still the biggest question. It just is. Giannis has made 28.5% of his career threes. That is not a spacing threat. That is a dare. And Bam is better when he is not pretending to be a sniper. So teams are going to pack the paint sometimes. They're going to test the weak side shooters. They're going to make Miami win ugly. And honestly, Miami probably will win ugly a lot. That is kind of the point. The depth is another issue. They gave up real stuff to get him. Tyler Herro, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kel'el Ware, Kasparis Yakuchonis, multiple firsts, a pick swap. That is not a casual little transaction. That is Riley pushing the middle of the table in. So if Giannis misses time, now things get weird. If the shooting goes cold, now things get weird. If the supporting cast is too thin by April, now things get weird. But man, the upside is worth the weirdness.